Happy Monday. I'm back. Welcome to Frontline, 6 o'clock here on the East Coast. We begin with some news from New York, where the Empire State has become the 14th state to legalize assisted suicide. Wow, great. Also, Ghislaine Maxwell appeared before the House Oversight Committee and predictably pled the fifth, but she says she's willing to talk in exchange for maybe clemency. We're going to have more on that shortly with Congressman Byron Donalds and American skier Hunter Hess, who came under fire for having mixed emotions about representing the U.S. in the Olympics, is now saying, wow, he can't wait to represent the red, white, and blue. His reversal coming after, of course, President Trump called him a loser. But first, how about a halftime show in English in America for an American sport? Let's do this. Watch the Super Bowl this weekend? I mean, I did. At least no one knelt down for the national anthem this time. They did play the actual national anthem, and then the black national anthem, whatever. I can deal with that, to watch an all-American sport that no nation on earth has ever been able to beat us at, like ever. Players hit the field, they came out swinging, it was a great couple first downs, and then time went on, and then the halftime show in Spanish. This was the audience during the show. Most clearly just standing there bewildered, people looking up around, not cheering. I mean, you could count on one hand the number of people that were seemingly into this halftime show. Nothing like the Bruno Mars halftime show, folks. But if you had a problem with this halftime show in America for an American sport, not in English, waving a foreign flag, apparently you're wrong, according to The View. They noted that Bad Bunny is an American citizen. Okay. Pointing out all the people from the UK that have performed in halftime shows.
Just for a public service announcement for those people, Puerto Ricans are American citizens. Phil Collins, he's from the UK, okay? The Who, UK. Right. U2, UK.
Coldplay.
I mean, Coldplay, UK. They're not American, and that didn't make the halftime show un-American. It is so very racist what is happening in this country.
There it is. There it is. All those people from the UK, as you pointed out, they spoke English. And here's the other public service announcement for you, Sonny. The national language in America is English. People like Piers Morgan, though, they rushed to defend Bad Bunny's performance after Trump said it sucked, too. Said, couldn't disagree with you more, Mr. President. I absolutely love Bad Bunny's halftime show. Amazing theatrical choreography and blah, 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 blah. Oh, and Spanish is the first language for 50 million Americans. Well, maybe it shouldn't be. But I seem to remember Pierce also in the not-so-distant past saying, quote, here, you see it for yourself. Last time I checked, Americans speak English. What changed, Pierce? Was that you're just reflexively against anything Trump is? Me and 25 million other Americans turned off the Super Bowl halftime show and turned on alternate programming. The Turning Point did. That was exactly what a real halftime show is supposed to be. Entertainment in English. It was actually pretty good. Kid Rock, Brantley Gilbert, Lee Brice, people that I listen to normally, and a few others, they did this patriotic halftime show style concert at the same time. But the fact that someone dared to counter-program Bad Bunny, that's apparently not allowed.
I think what's fascinating is that this off-brand type of halftime show is even happening because they think that Bad Bunny is not American.
Okay, so let me get this straight. Two national anthems at the same game for two different demographics in America. The actual anthem and then the black national anthem. Apparently, by The View, that's good. But two different halftime shows for, people who maybe, I don't know, didn't speak Spanish? That's apparently bad. I mean, this is liberal logic for you. TMZ's own poll, not a right-wing establishment, by the way. As of just before this show, 65% of respondents thought Kid Rock had a better halftime show than Bad Bunny. Think about how much of a slap in the face. This is how I felt, okay? This is like a huge slap in the face for me. I'm not a huge sports ball guy, but I do dabble. Not anymore. Who's the base of the NFL, actually? First, let's go back to the square one here. What does NFL stand for? National Football League. Like this nation, where it's English. The demo of the NFL consumers is overwhelmingly English-speaking, hardworking Americans who just want to watch football, an American sport that no nation has ever been able to even remotely compete with us on. We own this one. You don't get more American than football. Well, actually, maybe baseball, maybe apple pie. Can't leave out bombing other countries for their oil. But seriously, the talent disparity to anyone who has ever tried, Canada, Japan, Europe, no one has ever come close to even remotely beating an American team. It's what makes football uniquely American, and this country speaks English. The league commissioner, though, Roger Goodell, thought this was like, I don't know, some good idea to spit in our faces. And I guess the goal was to appeal to like an international audience. And look, some of the ratings have been trickling in. Some did tune in for the halftime show, but not for the game. They didn't learn anything. The last time they tried this social justice crap, their ratings cratered. And they had to run huge, expensive, multi-year campaigns to bring the viewers back. That was when everybody was kneeling. But Bud Light did the same thing. Disney did the same thing. You go woke, you go broke. This is not like super hardcore economics. There was a brief moment, though, that I think Roger Goodell was realized he was making a mistake. I saw a clip of him floating around somewhere on the internet mid-concert, and he's like looking around at the stands. He's like, oh no. Stadium's just sitting there, not entertained. I mean, whatever. He's making like $60 million a year, so what does he care, right? There were some other notable takeaways, though. I mean, look, I wish we were talking about how the youngest kid in history as the quarterback of the Patriots won the Super Bowl, but didn't happen because my Pats didn't win. I'm actually a Jets fan because I like to lose, apparently, but I'll take Pats as a second one here. But also, too, because the Super Bowl, it was so politically charged that it overshadowed the facts that, like, the Seahawks set the record for the most field goals ever in a Super Bowl. Nope, we're not doing that. Instead, we're talking about the fact that the victims of Jeffrey Epstein had an $8 million ad calling for the release of the files. Which, by the way, folks, you know I agree with getting these files released. I've been hammering it on this show for months. After all, it is a law now. It's been actually a law that's I think it's 2 months over its deadline. Still, nobody's gone to jail for that. But anyway, there was this enthusiasm. All this during this Super Bowl, but there was no enthusiasm, nothing like this, nothing for the files or anything under Joe Biden or Barack Obama. And just throwing this out there, and that maybe I'd be their PR guy. Here's the thought. What if all the Epstein victims had used that 30-second, $8 million ad buy to instead, I don't know, just read the names of their abusers or give them to Congress to expose? I mean, how about that? But they didn't do that. Even after Elon Musk said he'd pay any of the legal bills for any victim who came forward. Look, can we just agree that some things are meant to be American and in English? Why is it just like a bunch of normal folks like us, when anytime we're out there enjoying ourselves, watching a game with no agenda, why do the libs always try to screw it up? Nope, you guys can't have fun. Any time normal Americans like us are enjoying themselves or ourselves away from politics, libs come in and say, hey, we need something gay, diverse, or anti-American in here. The NFL is like 70% black. And you know how many NFL fans have ever cared about what color their favorite player was? It's approximately zero. People only turned it off when Kaepernick started kneeling for the national anthem, not because he was half black or adopted by white parents or whatever it was. Which is ironic that he is no longer in the NFL, but that didn't stop the Washington Post from trying to keep his legacy alive. Here, quote, the most relevant figure to Super Bowl 60 is absent from it. No, he is not. He is completely irrelevant. No wonder these clowns just had to lay off a third of their workforce. Clearly, they didn't learn anything. Look, can we just try something here? The next Super Bowl, let's open, I don't know, with like a prayer for the safety of all of our players and our nation. Let's do cowboys on horses, waving American flags, like shooting T-shirts out of cannons. Got George Washington's face on it, crossing the Delaware with one with a Seahawk helmet on and another guy with a Patriot helmet on. Let's turn the halftime show over to a PBR rodeo with country music. I want trailer-side smokers on like dualies with the most tender baby back ribs just being handed out to people in the front rows everywhere in the stadium. Let's try, I don't know, an all female cheer team, maybe throw in a soldier coming home to surprise his family, escorted in by Uncle Sam walking around on stilts. He got a bald eagle sitting on his shoulder. I want unapologetic American-loving stuff. No politics. Look, at the Super Bowl, Donald Trump should be able to sit next to Kamala Harris or Hillary Clinton at this game and have a good time. This should be the one time a year that's not political. Can we please try that? Host of the Ben Ferguson Show, Ben Ferguson, my man. It seems simple enough. Like,
you had me at barbecue ribs, okay? I own a barbecue restaurant. You had me right there.
There you go.
Done. I will bring the briskets. I'll bring the shoulders. I'll bring the ribs. We can throw it out.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, I'm sure you'd be fine giving a couple ribs to Elizabeth Warren if she takes a break from eating her bowl of yard debris.
I think she's probably like vegan. Let's just be honest about this, okay? Let's dial down the crazy. I don't see Kamala or her eating ribs together. I'm just going to, they'll want that Beyond Meat crap, right?
Exactly.
Save the environment.
Hillary does carry hot sauce in her purse, apparently. So
there you go.
But this is why we have an issue with all these libs, okay? Because they just make it all about something that it's really not. And this is the best. I don't know if you know this Krasenstein guy. He's like a 5-foot-tall internet troll. He put out this tweet claiming that the little boy on stage with Bad Bunny was none other than Liam Ramos, who ICE watched after his illegal alien dad abandoned him. His mother didn't want him either. So he tried to make it about him, and it turns out it wasn't him at all. It was a child paid actor carrying a Grammy Award.
Yeah. Got a payday, right? But hey, let's just put the narrative out there. Let's lie to the American people. I got to go back to this one simple thing. If you are an American and you are still supporting the NFL, the joke's on you. And let me explain why. Number one, they actually hate you. They hate this country. Roger Goodell clearly wanted the halftime show to make you feel bad about yourself. He wanted you to think that America was bad. And you needed 4 months to learn another language. By the way, it's pretty funny this is happening while the Olympics is going on. I said this earlier, and I mean it. Like, can you imagine if the Olympics were in French or German or Russian? Does that mean if I don't know that language, I'm somehow a horrible person? No, because NBC wouldn't be stupid enough to do the coverage in a foreign language. So why do they do it at the Super Bowl? Because they want you to feel like you're a horrible human being if you can't understand the words coming out of that guy's mouth.
Ben, after I saw that one guy, the skier, like talking smack about America, I have watched approximately 0 of that. But this was also...
Is he on your bar fight list now? Like, I have a short list, but that dude is like, I could go one more round in a bar fight with that guy. I'm not going to lie. He's on the list now.
So you know what's funny, though? This was super important in the halftime show. Take a look at this. Closer look. Bad Bunny put "We Accept EBT" on the stage.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, 42% of Puerto Ricans are on government assistance.
At least he was authentic, right? Like, you got to give him that. He was telling you the truth. This goes back to who this guy is. I actually appreciate the fact that he comes out there with the different Puerto Rican flag that says, I don't want to be a part of America. Did anyone else catch that? Like, he had the flag up that is the flag of, like, independence of Puerto Rico against America.
Yeah.
Believe him when he tells you he doesn't like this country. When he's out there on stage mocking America, believe him. When he says he doesn't want to perform in America, unless, of course, he'll sell out for the Super Bowl because the audience is just too big, and I'm happy to cash those American dollars with downloads. But before that, when he wouldn't come to America. Why? Because he hates this country. Yeah. And Roger Goodell, I go back to this in the NFL. If there's any takeaway for Americans, have you ever in your life seen a corporation do what they did to their fans?
No.
They literally mocked their fans, said, thank you for paying for these tickets all year and supporting your teams. And now we're going to literally give you the middle finger as an American. And this is what you get at halftime, a lecture from us on why you're a bad person.
It's suicide of their base. But this was the cherry on top. I love this. Today's current #1 song on iTunes, it's not anything Bad Bunny.
It's so good.
Super Bowl Kid Rock's rendition of Till You Can't with his added verse beating Bad Bunny.
Yeah.
I mean, so Till You Can't, his rendition is #1. Then the original rendition by Cody Johnson is #2, as you can see right there. And then Bad Bunny. Oh, too bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to challenge, by the way, Bad Bunny for the next 4 months to say nothing in English. That's my challenge. If you're going to say that I got to learn Spanish to watch your halftime show attacking this country, then for the next 4 months, own it. Go out there and only speak Spanish, right? Because if that's who you are and you believe in it as much as you claim that you do, then own it for 4 months. I don't want to hear a single word of English out of your mouth.
It's funny. We have, like, there was all these things on the internet. And I'm telling people to go look this up because it is a good laugh. All these people who are from Puerto Rico or speak Spanish, they don't even understand. Anyway, Ben, we got to leave it right there, my man.
Good to see you.
All right, good to see you, too. All right, coming up, Democrats making demands, then complain when those demands are met. Guess they're just really unhappy creatures. We'll have that later in the show. But first, President Trump wants to secure elections, but one Dem has spent a decade complaining about election interference is all of a sudden now worried. Weird how that works. We got that and more with Congressman Byron Donalds next.
Where's my mother gonna... Oh, no. Is this the episode with the breakup?
Reba, we can't agree on the house.
Y'all need Realtor.com. With over 500,000 new listings every month, you could find the one today. This could be it. Better put a key ring on it. Realtor.com.
Hello, everyone. It's President Donald J. Trump, and it's Trump time. Check out this red beauty. It's one of my new watches. Wear it proudly on your wrist, and everyone will know exactly what it's for, who it represents. It's really going to be something special. It's for your favorite president. Get your watch today at gettrumpwatches.com. These make a great gift. It's Trump time.
Not again.
Your cold is coming! Your cold is coming!
Thanks, Revere.
We really need to keep Zycam in the house.
Only if you want to shorten your cold. When you feel a cold coming, shorten it with Zycam.
Precise designs, subtle curves, curated upgrades, elevated design for thoughtful living. TPUSA.
Let's face it, folks, car repair costs are not going down anytime soon. In fact, they may be only getting worse. Protect your hard-earned dollars with a money-saving plan for your out-of-warranty vehicle with one call to CarShield. Plans offer protection on big items like your car's engine, transmission, AC, and thousands of parts and systems. Call now. Waiting could cost you thousands.
Get your free quote and lock in your rate now. Call 800-258-7591.
Don't kibble your dog.
Hey, Dr. Marty.
Hey, Matt.
What's wrong with this?
Let's check it out. It's still kibble, which means they're ultra-processed. At Dr. Marty, we freeze-dried premium meats, fruit, and vegetables, and they're gonna love it.
I think if he intends to try to subvert the elections, he will do everything he can to suppress the vote. And if he loses the vote, and I think the Republicans now expect they'll get a real drubbing in the midterms, he's prepared to try to take some kind of action to overturn the result. And we really shouldn't question that.
California watermelon head Adam Schiff wants no part of election security. The guy who's been lying for like 10 years about Russia's involvement in Trump's 2016 election, win, ironically telling us that the president's efforts to secure our elections is an effort to subvert them. It sounds like he's probably worried about. Does he know something about 2020 or something else? I don't know. Maybe it's just mortgage fraud. What do we know? And when he was asked, he doesn't back voter ID requirements. Schiff called them a means to subvert elections.
This is another way to simply try to suppress the vote. And the last thing I think we want to do is discourage more people, more citizens from voting. So it's part of the broader disenfranchisement effort.
I wonder if he feels the same way about gun background check. This is exactly why Republicans need to pass voter ID, mostly because he opposes it, but they need to pass it now. Florida Congressman Byron Donalds, sir, I'd love to see you guys stick one to Adam Schiff.
So would I. I mean, look, he's been lying for a decade. Everybody knows that.
But what the Democrats are trying to say right now, that you're disenfranchising the American people by requiring a voter ID to go to the polls and cast your ballots, is insane. This is the logic only good enough from the left. And you said it, Carl. They got no problem with background checks for you to buy a gun, which means you got to supply an ID, which means you got to fill out an application, do all these things to basically enact your Second Amendment rights. That's what the Democrats want. But something as simple as showing your driver's license before you get a ballot to cast in an election here in America, that's a bridge too far. These guys are silly. They make no sense. And that's because they have no problems with illegals showing up at the voting booth to cast ballots in American elections. They got no problem with it. That's why they're opposed to voter ID.
And we have the proof, like voter IDs that need to happen because of things like this. Look at this. This is crazy. A Colombian woman in Boston was convicted of voter fraud and other identity theft offenses also, but she voted in the 2024 election and has lived in the U.S. under a stolen ID for more than 20 years. And Democrats are like, oh, this is just one example. How many more one examples do we need? We just gave them 313,000 in Georgia.
But the one example is all you need. Furthermore, these states need to clean their voting rolls. People who have not been voting, not been going to the polls, they can't prove who they are. They need to actually come off those rolls. That's very, very important. But a voter ID, photo ID, is very, very simple. You need it if you're going to open a bank account. You need it if you're going to check into a Marriott. You need it if you're going to get on an airplane. You need it if you're going to go buy a six-pack of beer. Carl, you look a lot older than 21. They may not card you. I know they're not going to card me. I'm looking a lot older. But that's the fact in America. This is what people do every single day. It's why black voters, Hispanic voters, and white voters are all saying, yeah, what's the big deal? We should do that. Everything to protect America's elections.
Yeah, it's simple. And in Georgia, a federal judge has now ruled that the DOJ must unseal the record related to the seizure, the warrant related to the seizure of the records from Fulton County last month. Now, Judge J.B. Booley, a Trump appointee, giving the Justice Department until tomorrow to release that. I feel like this one's going to backfire on the Democrats.
Yeah, I think so as well. And look, release whatever you want, that's fine. It doesn't change the fact that it is Democrats who oppose voter ID. I'll give people one more. Democrats want to count illegals for the purposes of setting congressional districts. Now, I wonder why they would do that. Something about having sanctuary jurisdictions where you're warehousing illegals for the purpose of counting them towards congressional districts. I think that only helps blue states and heavy blue jurisdictions, not in the interest of the American people. So they can throw their phony arguments out all they want. I would recommend they don't send Shifty Shift out there because the man has negative credibility, but the American people want voter ID. The Save America Act is going to go on the floor of the House this week. We're going to vote that out, and then it's going to be in the hands of Leader Thune in the Senate to get that to the president's desk.
Yeah, I'll hold my breath for that one, actually, because you guys passed it in April because you guys are doing stuff in there. Ghislaine Maxwell, real quick, testifies, pleads the fifth. What do you say, sir?
I'm not overly surprised that she would come in and plead the fifth. But we're going to continue to go through the process of investigating not just everything going on with the Epstein files, but we haven't forgotten about Minnesota. The Minnesota fraud has not been forgotten. In the Oversight Committee, we're still going through all of that. And I anticipate we're probably going to have Governor Walz come in very shortly.
Oh, wouldn't that be exciting? I'd love to see that guy perp walk, mostly because I think he got billions stolen from the American people, but also because I really don't like him. Congressman Byron Donalds, always a pleasure, sir.
Thank you.
All right, coming up, Jasmine Crockett gets caught using AI to make it look like she has voters and friends. All that and more in our Culture Clash.
The press won't report the real story.
The American people are actually very smart.
Ridiculous statements.
These guys are just plain weird.
Actual scandals.
Even the immunity decision. I mean, that decision was so misreported.
That's my job, and I aim to do it every night.
Talking to people today about their retirement accounts. Sir, excuse me.
Yeah.
Do you have a retirement account?
Yeah, I've got a TSP from my old government job.
How's that doing?
I'm forgetting about it. I can't contribute to it. There are fees to get the funds, and the investment options are limited, so the money's just stuck.
How about a gold IRA?
I can do that?
Absolutely. You can roll it into a gold IRA, and you have all the same tax advantages as a TSP, but with more flexibility. And you can put physical gold and silver in your retirement account.
I'm taking control with Noble Gold Investments.
Your retirement, your rules. Noble Gold.
This isn't
your average pill. This is Rose Sparks. Rose Sparks. Rose Sparks. Rose Sparks.
Rose Sparks is a fast-acting solution because it dissolves under your tongue.
Rose Sparks.
Guys, get started today.
Connect with a provider to find out if Rose Sparks are right for you.
You can join the Tunnel to Towers mission to do good by donating your car to today's veterans. Your car donation will help Gold Star families, as well as injured veterans, our first responders, and our homeless veterans. Donating your car is quick and simple. Any car is accepted, and we will pick up the car for free. Simply call 844-BRAVES.
By donating your car, you can make a real difference. You can do good.
48% of Americans don't get enough magnesium, which is vital for bone, nerve, and muscle health. I recommend Cunol's Magnesium Glycinate. It's formulated for high absorption and is gentle on the stomach. Cunol, the brand I trust.
Dog grooming genius here. No, over here. And I live for operational excellence. Cute makeovers? I see a shop in sync. Thanks to Genius. Scheduling personalized. Checkouts flawless. Real-time reviews for the win. From game day crowds worldwide to running this shop. Perfectly executed. Big league reliability for any business. That's Genius.
Whether it's care before or after school, or a sitter for date night, you don't have to hire just anyone. You can find a background-checked caregiver who's the right fit for you. Join now and find care at care.com.
Joining us is Dr. Drew from the Wellness Company with advice for dealing with seasonal colds and flu. Doctor?
Cold and flu season is here, and every year you or a loved one gets sick. Your doctor can't see you. Waiting in a crowded urgent care is brutal. This is a particularly bad cold and flu season, and it's why doctors suggest every family needs an emergency medical kit. Your medical emergency kit is filled with essential prescriptions. It includes antibiotics like generic Z-Pak to get well faster, amoxicillin for pneumonia, strep throat, ear infections, plus prescriptions for nausea and UTIs, and even ivermectin. It's easy. Just match your symptoms to the prescription in your guidebook or call the telemedicine doctor standing by. Take your medication early and feel better faster. Having a medical emergency kit is like having an urgent care in your home. No waiting to see a doctor, no lines at the pharmacy.
Smart advice. We've shared the website and discount code below to save viewers $45. Order now and your kit will be rushed to your door. Thank you, doctor.
Jasmine Crockett releasing her new campaign ad as she runs for Senate in Texas since her House seat was eliminated in the redistricting, using some weird comic book looking characters, though, to bash the Trump administration. And the video got flagged on X by community notes stating that the final shot in the new ad doesn't feature a single Texas voter, and it's all AI generated image. Complete fraud, using AI to pretend that she has friends and Texans behind her. Ashley Brasfield, reporter at the Daily Caller, and Cliff Maloney, Republican strategist. Ashley, it's like you couldn't find one person to like stand next to you in a real video.
Yeah, not one person. But she's even said herself she doesn't want to appeal to Republican voters in Texas, Carl. She has to first win the primary against James Tallarico, you know, the guy that had the OnlyFans models and his DMs that he evangelizes to Christians in Texas. So she's got to take care of that guy first before she says she's a warrior for Texans, which she's not, because she's directly said and stated that she does not want to fight for them.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you're not going to appeal to voters in Texas, you might as well just call it quits there, because there's more of them. Anyway, Cliff, Minnesota State Rep, though, Kayla Berg, posting that she's out delivering food to illegals who are afraid to leave their homes due to ICE. Watch this.
So we just finished delivering groceries to folks who are too afraid to leave their homes because of this ICE occupation in our community. We will continue to do this for as long as we need to.
Well, first off, why do liberals say, we're going to do this as long? They close their eyes when they're talking to you just to show you how much better they think they are. I mean, did she ever bring, I don't know, food to people who were, the families of people who were killed by illegals?
Well, of course not. And this is the virtue signaling, right? They make that face that you're joking about, Carl. And what kills me is there's roughly 8,300 homeless people in the state of Minnesota that are here legally. Right? They're legally here homeless. They're struggling. Why not help those folks? Why not take some time with them? The left is so infatuated with showing that they're helping these illegals, that they're forgetting about regular American citizens.
Yeah, including veterans that are also homeless. She didn't lift a finger for them. Okay, I hate giving Don Lemon any press, except when he really steps in it, which is one of my favorite things to do. All right, he got, obviously, disturbed a church service in Minnesota, by rioting in there, going in there with the rioters. But he sees himself now, Ashley, as a civil rights leader. Watch this.
In my time when I was there, I thought about all the people who'd come before me. I thought about all of the people who fought for civil rights, who fought for gay rights, all of the people who were at Stonewall. Marsha P. Clark, I'm like, yes, those are the people, those are the real heroes.
I mean, who wants to tell him that religion is also a civil right that he interrupted?
Exactly. And isn't Martin Luther King was a pastor. So this idea that you're going to try and take on this civil rights leader idea, and Kamala Harris tried to do this thing too. And I'm surprised he didn't put on the Southern Baptist accent that they usually do with this. But Don Lemon, he's just grasping at whatever attention he can get from Hollywood, as we've seen, as always. So I can't stand bringing him up either. But I mean, he's walking around with his yellow lemon mic in DC, scraping the ground from the time since he left CNN.
That's what I was going to say, Cliff, is I don't think Don Lemon knows a Southern accent. He's the dude is like an Upper West Side New York liberal married to a white guy.
Yeah, this is the problem when theater kids go into media and try to participate. I mean, it's all about getting attention. It's all about Don Lemon. And he's so tone deaf. Anybody that sees this is like, you're this new human rights icon? Mm-hmm. Give me a break, Don Lemon.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so based on financial records, Ashley, from 2025, reports are stating that the, quote, No Kings protest has been heavily funded by kings of industry. $294 million, allegedly, of course, tied to the anti-Trump retaliations. Major people, Arabella, Warren Buffett, George Soros, tons more contributing to the so-called organic movement of, no kings and stuff like this. They're funded by literally the kings of whatever industry.
Right, all the same usual suspects here. Arabella, which has now morphed into a different, entity itself now, is, to disguise itself. This is what they do. But it's all the same usual suspects with Soros, with Rockefeller. All these names, they look familiar. It's nothing shocking. And yeah, you're right. These organic protests that actually are never organic. And you go into these protests and you ask these people, are you getting paid? And they'll literally tell you yes. So.
Yeah, well, Clip, this is the other thing, too, is you want me to believe a bunch of people that can't even figure out how to pay off their student loan debts all got together and somehow organized 10,000 people in negative 40-degree things with pre-printed signs and T-shirts with all kinds of pyrotechnics and loudspeakers like that? You fat chance.
Look, I was in Hershey, PA for the first No Kings protest. They came out of a restaurant, and there were like 400 people in Hershey, PA. This is nuts. Look, Arabella, I want to make this one quick point. Remember that they spent, Arabella and their advisors, that group, $4 billion during the first Trump administration. To anybody out there that thinks this is organic, it's not. It is propped up. It is fake. It is left-wing money. And they're using the same playbook for Trump admin 47.
Well, I also couldn't help but notice is their pocketbooks and their budget for these protests has gotten a lot smaller since we disbanded USAID. Maybe, Ashley, I'm just, maybe I'm way off base here. Am I?
Well, no, you're not. And one thing stays the same with these people. They're all older, white, liberal people. I saw it on the metro in D.C. when I was riding around. They all are either retired, living off their government paychecks, or just these organizations are paying them. That's one expensive protest, if you ask me, when I'm just looking around at all those videos and images.
Yeah, for $294 million, I could actually solve real problems rather than whine in the street and negative 40-degree things. Whatever. Ashley, Cliff, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks,
All
Carl.
right, coming up, a new study revealing which generation is actually getting dumber. Yeah, I'm just going to let you guess. It rhymes with Tide Pods. Those details next.
A new president is sworn in. America's greatness is restored. Millions of Americans are tuning in to Newsmax. Even President Trump says Newsmax is terrific. Watch Newsmax or download our free app on your TV or phone today.
I'm Elmer Heinrich, at 91 years of age, here with my wife Shirley, who is 83. Now, both of us are still cutting a wide swath in life, all because of Immuno 150. Now, we are asking you to use Immuno 150 like we do. Give it a chance for at least 90 days so that you can see what 70 plant minerals and 80 additional nutrients can do for you.
It really is incredible.
Yeah, try it. You will be surprised. Order now. You'll be glad you did.
Precise designs, subtle curves, curated upgrades, elevated design for thoughtful living. TPUSA.
Poverty is unimaginable. There are people who are struggling.
This is where she washes the dishes.
If you're ever going to allow your Christian faith to rise and to do something for God's chosen people, now is the time.
This is the home of Galena. She's 96 years old.
This is what she had to eat for today.
She has one pot with water and wheat.
My father was killed by the Nazis, and I was an orphan. I didn't know about God. But now, in the cold, hungry nights, I pray for food to the God I've never known. There are good people that love you.
You see the tears. Scripture says joy can come in the morning, and you can be the reason.
Right now in Ukraine, elderly Jews are trapped in unbearable poverty. If you will bless these hurting children of Israel, you will receive God's blessing in return. Your urgent gift today of $25 will help rush a survival food box filled with life-saving essentials. Call, scan, or go online now.
I'm not exaggerating when I tell you, I don't know how much longer she could have waited for us to come.
I can't even grow my food anymore. What will happen to me? I'm doomed to starve.
Tens of thousands of elderly Holocaust survivors in the former Soviet Union are living in extreme poverty, hungry, and forgotten. But through the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, we can bring them hope.
Eggs. It's my favorite food. May you be blessed.
You say to them, we see you and we're here to help.
Please don't delay. Call, scan, or go online now.
Muscle cramps were keeping me up at night, so then I tried Slowmag, the magnesium plus calcium supplement that helps relax tense muscles so I can rest comfortably. And Slowmag tablets have a slow-release formula that's gentle on my stomach. That's why I use Slowmag.
A new study just confirmed what pretty much everybody was thinking all along, that Gen Z is in fact less intelligent than millennials and other generations. They're the first modern generation, according to this study, in modern history to score lower on a standardized academic test than the one before it. So this is a neuroscientist, Dr. Jared Cooney Horvath, real doctor, not like Joe Biden. And the study went on, and to make matters worse, it said, most of these young people are overconfident about how smart they are. The smarter people think they are, the dumber they actually are. That's from the study. He said it, not me. Gen Z, I know I got some Gen Z producers back there. You guys are all right. You're the good ones. Kristin Tate, columnist for the Boston Herald. All right, dude, you and I have been talking about this for probably since 2012 about how these kids are coming out of college where they're taught what to think, not how to think.
Well, this is a really depressing finding because I'm a millennial and my generation is really dumb. So for them to be dumber than our generation is just really sad. But it's clear what the issue is, right? It's the technology. I mean, for the millennials, we didn't have smartphones until I was in college. So, you know, we had those flip phones when I was in high school. You could send a text, but you couldn't be sitting there on the internet all
T9
day.
word.
Yeah, exactly. These kids today, all day, they are sitting in school using ChatGPT to do all their schoolwork and write their papers. They're not actually learning any information. They have very low attention spans. And so am I surprised at these findings? Absolutely not. But it's really terrifying because these people are going to go off to law school and medical school. And, you know, they're going to be the future doctors and teachers in America. And I'm not sure how that's going to work out.
Yeah, no, exactly. It is shocking. You have everything you could possibly ever need to know right there in the palm of your hand, and somehow they got dumber.
Right.
Speaking of less intelligent, remember when Chuck Schumer and the Democrats demanded that ICE agents wear body cameras? He tweeted this out: masks need to come off, body cameras need to stay on, no secret police in the United States. Okay, so now Democrats all of a sudden, within like a 72-hour period, have said that there's, quote, real concerns, the fear that the technology will provide another avenue for mass surveillance protests. Well, just pick one.
Yeah, isn't this funny? 5 minutes ago, they were shrieking, telling us we need body cameras on every cop. So we did it. And now they're shocked because it's not as convenient for them to peddle the lies to all of America that cops and law enforcement are going out and just randomly shooting minorities. They can't push that lie because we can see what's going on in these interactions. So yes, of course, they're going to say now that this is a violation of privacy because they want to get rid of the cameras so they can continue pushing lies.
Yeah, and then blame cops and then try to hold them accountable. But then you got like the guy like Renee Good who just held his cell phone up. Thankfully he did, because it showed exactly what happened. All right, speaking of ICE, a local Mexican restaurant, Sammy's Mexican Grill, okay, receiving backlash online for serving free meals to ICE agents. This makes me want to go pay double for a meal there. But the owner, Jorge Riveras, let's just say, might not fit the standard person that supports ICE according to the left's view, but saying all ICE people, all federal agents can come here. They will be treated with respect as they deserve. President Trump wants to take the bad people out. Don't be ignorant. You know what? I like this guy.
Yeah. And, you know, legal immigrants, they are some of the most ardent supporters of strong borders and illegal immigration. But, you know, white liberal women, they're going to lose their minds over this story, and they're going to call for this guy, this restaurant owner, to be deported, even if he's a legal immigrant, because we all know it's the white liberal women who are leading the charge in all of these, you know, ICE riots. It's just, it's mostly them.
They are the worst. Like, these are the same people who are like, yay, illegal immigrants. And then when DeSantis flew like 40 of them to Martha's Vineyard, they deported 100% of them with the National Guard. I love that one. All right, here's something that is a shock to absolutely no one. According to the Tax Foundation's latest ranking of worst states for taxpayers, all 10. Here they are on your screen: Hawaii, Vermont, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Washington, Maryland, Connecticut, California, New Jersey, and New York, all blue-controlled states, and people hate them the most.
Yeah, people are fleeing these states, even liberals. I wrote a whole book about this a few years ago called The Liberal Invasion of Red State America. But I actually lived in Texas for over a decade and moved to Massachusetts recently. And I have to make the case for some of these liberal states. They have incredible geographic beauty, some of them. So I'm a big proponent of conservatives, you know, standing their ground in these states and trying to reclaim some power and control, because we can't just let the liberals have all these places. There are some incredibly beautiful states that they control.
I'm totally with you. Like New York, I live in Connecticut. I have property upstate. It's absolutely gorgeous. They've just screwed it up with the worst policies. It's almost like you got like Manhattan. We just got to let it crash, and the rats get 50 pounds rather than 20 pounds before people realize.
Yeah, you might be right. But there are smart ways for Republicans to win in certain races in these states. They got to focus their money and their power on the races where they can actually win. And in some states, that's doable in certain districts.
And stop dead people from voting. But that's just me. Kristin Tate.
That's another thing.
Pleasure as always.
Thank you, Carl.
All right. Coming up, a warmer winter. Weird. Climate change, colder winter, climate change. Everything's it's all over the place. So, Libs, I don't know. Is anything real anymore? Details next.
Hi, I'm former Major League All-Star Lee Mazzilli. I'm proud to have played in New York for both the Mets and the Yankees. I'm also proud to be a longtime supporter of Tunnel to Towers Foundation. T2T helps our firefighters, our police, our soldiers, and their families. You can join their cause as well. Just $11 a month will help these brave men and women who keep us safe. Go to T2T.org for more information on how your donation can help.
I have a structured settlement and I call J.G. Wentworth 877 cash now.
I am an annuity, but I need cash now.
Call J.G. Wentworth 877 cash now.
It's your money. Use it when you need it.
Call J.G. Wentworth 877
Call 877-CASH now to get a $100 gift card for a free quote.
$12,720. That's the average cost you pay for term life insurance over 20 years. $12,720 that you could spend on family, loved ones, or yourself. With a return of premium life insurance plan from Senior Life, getting all that money back is possible. That's right. With return of premium life insurance, we don't save you hundreds of dollars, we save you thousands, because we give you all your money back. It works like this. If you pass away while you're insured, your loved ones get a check for the coverage amount you chose. But if you're still living at the end of the term, you get back all the money you paid, guaranteed. Spend it any way you wish. Why would you buy life insurance from another company when Senior Life gives you all your money back? Get all your money back with return of premium life insurance from Senior Life. Call the number now for free information. You have no obligation. Call now.
Power disease. Ticks and fleas. Intestinal worms.
15 million dogs and counting know Simparica Trio offers triple protection against heartworm disease, ticks and fleas, and intestinal worms, all with one monthly chew. This drug class has been associated with neurologic side effects, including seizures. Use with caution in dogs with or without a history of these disorders. Don't just protect, triple protect.
When it comes to my daily heart health supplement, I've got 3 rules. It's got to be plant-based, it's got to be doctor recommended, and it's got to be Super Beets from Human.
Super Beets is the #1 cardiologist recommended beet brand for heart health support with clinically studied grapeseed extract for nearly 2 times more effective blood pressure support than diet and exercise alone.
Super Beets works. I swear by it, and I know you're going to love it too.
Try Super Beets today at human.com.
So I consider myself a bit of a history buff, and I'm trying to think of the last person who wanted to fumigate an entire group of people before this guy.
I think what that episode in our country's history showed us is that we really need some fumigation, right? We need a exorcism, for lack of a better term. We need a more aggressive approach.
Just to refresh everybody's memory, fumigation, per the dictionary, Cambridge Dictionary, the use of poisonous gas to remove harmful insects, bacteria, disease, etc. from somewhere or something. It's so ironic that these are the same people that call Republicans Nazis, but this is considered standard commentary for the left, and there's going to be no consequences for it. Founder of ClimateDepot.com, Marc Morano, and Vice President of Government Accountability Institute, Eric Eggers. Okay, Eric, I mean, pretty bold statement from the people who keep calling me a Nazi.
Yeah, there's that old Norm Macdonald joke, like, I don't know how many history buffs you are out there, but remember, I have some problems with Germany. And exactly right. I think anyone with a social consciousness and really just self-awareness should think immediately of that horrific period of time. So you could never get away with using the word fumigate with any group that wasn't conservatives. And so it just shows you the double standards. And, you know, I'm old enough to remember, Carl, may not be a history buff, but I'm old enough to remember in the post-Charlie Kirk shooting era, there was a lot of talk about we're going to tone down the rhetoric, we need to bring people together, because clearly it's possible that some of these words incite violence. And yet here we are, not that long later, using words like that.
Yeah, and that went right out the window. Mark, you fancy yourself a bit of a climate guy, given ClimateDepot.com. You remember the New York Times? They said the moderate winter temperatures a couple years ago or last year were due to climate change because mankind has polluted the planet, and now our winters were all going to be mild, which is weird because if you live, I don't know, north of the Mason-Dixon line this year, you may or may not have noticed an epically cold winter that's like 20 degrees below normal. But the New York Times comes out and says, what's up with this big freeze? Some scientists think it's climate change. Which one is it?
This is global warming theory perfectly explained. No matter what weather events happens, there's nothing that would ever invalidate the theory. Record heat, global warming. Record cold, global warming. And
pay us more money.
You pay us more money, and we have the solution, and you have to give up your freedom in your car and your gas-powered car and your gas stoves, and you have to give up wood-fired pizza ovens and travel. And this has been going on in the New York Times since the 1990s. They had scientists like, I bought my daughter a sled, but she won't even be able to use it because of the lack of snow.
Sure.
The funniest is as a European scientist who said snow is a thing of the past. And he said this about 20 years ago. And now he's not taking any more interviews. All the media is asking about it as they get all this snowfall as well.
Yeah.
This is just this happened in the 70s. They made the same, before fossil fuels caused global warming, fossil fuels caused man-made global cooling. They thought the fossil fuels were blocking out the sun, causing an ice age. So the media just is going to spin it no matter how they do it, for money and for the ideology.
But yeah, give us $17 trillion and the government will solve the problems they can't solve in the first place. Eric, the America, now that we've cracked down on Act Blue, and I mentioned this earlier, we're not lighting money on fire anymore, obviously, and giving it to the UN globalists. And now they're crying poverty, specifically the UN Human Rights Chief. He's demanding $400 million. I don't know for what. This is the same group that had like China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Cuba, and Venezuela on their coalition for human rights.
Yeah, the logic for the pro-UN lobby is harder to follow than a Bad Bunny halftime show. I don't understand why anyone in the world would continue to be out there supporting the UN. I mean, all you have to do is look, as you just noted, the people that they're in bed with and the people that they support, by the way, at the expense of the United States of America. I mean, going back to how you began, they're willing to use words like fumigate and call MAGA people Nazis. The UN is willing to elevate countries like China, Russia, third world countries who have real human rights abuses while shunning and sneering their nose at the United States, which actually is trying to solve problems in the world. It's so hypocritical. The logic is incomprehensible. And the best part, Carl, is we're paying for it.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of what we're paying for, call me a conspiracy theorist one more time.
People eat too much meat, right? And if they were to cut down on their consumption on meat, then they would, it would actually really help the planet. But people are not willing to give up meat. Possibly we can use human engineering to make it the case that we're intolerant to certain kinds of meat, to certain kinds of bovine proteins. And there's actually analogs of this in life. There's this thing called the Lone Star tick, where if it bites you, you'll become allergic to meat.
Oh, yeah, and the first cases of Lyme's disease just happened to be outside of Old Lyme, Connecticut. I'm sure that's just a coincidence, okay? Get your bioengineering, uncallous, globalist, itty-bitty hands off my primordial desire to eat steak. These people want us addicted to estrogen with, like, running around just doing whatever. Listen to Bad Bunny concerts, Mark.
Yeah, this is an NYU professor, and this was actually featured in the Atlantic magazine. They called it Human Body Could Combat Climate Change by taking drugs and also to engineering cat-like eyes to reduce the need for lighting. We were just talking about the Germany in the 1930s. This is very creepy stuff. These are from our major academia promoting these ideas to essentially bioengineer humans so that we can avoid climate change. But I don't know, did you see all the private jets at the Super Bowl? Are they going to bioengineer the billionaire class who's pushing and funding all the climate alarmism at the same time flying around in private jets? This is a brave new era we've entered, and we have to have accountability in academia for these kind of insane ideas.
I would say, though, the biggest threat to climate change, we really need to regulate volcanoes. They are spewing way too much stuff in the air.
No, absolutely. This is
in the ocean
this is
as
ridiculous.
well.
Wait, Eric, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, a colleague of mine, Seamus Bruner, wrote a book called Control Oligarchs, and he exposed how ridiculous this is. And obviously, I don't endorse anything, including this line of thinking. But, Carl, I know you work out, and I will just tell you, some of the gains you can get in the gym off of bug proteins, it's worth taking a look at.
You know what? I will. I'll immediately get on my cricket diet. And, no, I will never do that. I eat 3 pounds of red meat a day. Eric, Mark, appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Carl.
Man, these people are absolutely ridiculous. All right, folks, got a good one for you. Don't go anywhere.
Everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmidt tonight on Newsmax.
For the last 8 years, I've been in bed, basically. After taking Relief Factor, after 2 weeks, when I woke up in the morning, I could open and close my hands, stand on my feet without them killing me. The pain just subsided.
If pain is affecting your life, see how Relief Factor can help you fight back. 100% drug-free, Relief Factor doesn't mask pain, it helps eliminate it. Call or go online. Get your 3-week quick start today, only $19.95.
Don't kibble your dog.
Hey, Dr. Marty.
Hey, back.
What's wrong with this?
Let's check it out. It's still kibble, which means they're ultra-processed. At Dr. Marty, we freeze-dried premium meats, fruit, and vegetables, and they're gonna love it.
Some wireless companies say that they stand for something. What exactly do they stand for, and why won't they say it out loud? Let me tell you what Patriot Mobile stands for. They stand for the lives of the unborn. They stand for the Second Amendment and the right to protect yourself and your family. They stand for our veterans and first responders who sacrifice so much for our freedom. Make the switch to Patriot Mobile today and support a company that doesn't just say they stand for something, but one that stands for the things that matter the most.
You woke up with a sore throat and a low-grade fever. You know you are getting sick, so here's your choices. You can get sicker and miss work. Try to see a doctor this week or sit hours in a crowded waiting room at urgent care.
I have a smarter option for you. Open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Order online and save $45. Your kit to treat dozens of common and serious illnesses is rushed to your door. Visit urgentcarekit.com/news, promo code NEWS. That's urgentcarekit.com/news, promo code NEWS.
Whoa, 90% off? I have to purchase now. My phone!
That was a scam link.
Try this one. We installed PCmatic.
PCmatic blocks ransomware before threats can strike.
It's 100% made in America security.
Trusted by homes, businesses, governments, and now you. Stop guessing.
Start blocking.
Get PCmatic.
You have no idea how long Marvin has waited to sing like this. But with his new teeth from Affordable Dentures and Implants, he's back under the bright lights, right where he belongs. Affordable Dentures and Implants. That's what we do.
I'm Elmer Heinrich, at 91 years of age, here with my wife Shirley, who is 83. Now, both of us are still cutting a wide swath in life, all because of Immuno 150. Now, we are asking you to use Immuno 150 like we do. Give it a chance for at least 90 days so that you can see what 70 plant minerals and 80 additional nutrients can do for you.
It really is incredible.
Yeah, try it. You will be surprised. Order now. You'll be glad you did.
You ever wonder what all that money confiscated in like drug busts goes to? Well, the Orange County Sheriff's Office in Florida putting that money back into the community.
Enjoy.
The best part about this is this was purchased with seized drug money. So all those drug dealers we arrest, when they have cash on them, we seize it through our forfeiture laws, and then we're able to use that and put it right back into our community, taking their drug money and using it for good.
Okay, so they took all that dough and they gave ice cream, free ice cream to the community, which I think is absolutely fantastic. This is what this stuff should go to. Rob, they take this stuff from a bunch of bad dudes and, you know, maybe...
I love that.
Yeah.
You always do wonder where the hell does that money go? They never
like
tell you where it goes.
They got like these stacks of cash going down the thing. There's like bricks of cocaine. Like you've seen Super Troopers, which is, you know, but that's where they got.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. All right, Carl.
Word.
Good to see you.
Welcome back,
buddy.
from Venezuela.
Yeah, I wanted you there actually. I needed some muscle.
Dude, I would have been down.
I know.
Except
you
that
would.
I don't leave America.
You don't like to leave America. Thanks, Carl. Good to see you.
Word.
All right.